biggest problem that honeybees have right now is a mite called Varroa Destructor. And Varroa comes from Africa, where it originally was hosted on a different type of bee that lived in a different environment and could deal with it by what's called absconding, meaning leaving this hive and finding a new place. Unfortunately, our European honeybees have to stay in their hive and they can't run away from the problem. But doubly unfortunately, our European honeybees haven't learned to deal with this Varroa mite. And I have made a mite here. And it's sort of to scale if the mite were on me. And it's like a tick in the same way that we have to be careful about getting the ticks off us if we go for a walk in the woods, because we know that the ticks can give us Lyme disease. This Varroa mite gives all kinds of diseases to the honeybees that it lives on. And it loves to get up under the scales of the bee and eat the fat bodies in its liver. And it reproduces on the young bees and damages them. And it gives them the diseases that the bees can't deal with. They get overwhelmed with. So as a beekeeper, you're going to have to learn to help your European honeybees survive this Varroa mite. And it is probably, unfortunately, the biggest thing we have to deal with as a club. People buy honeybees, they spend $1,000 setting up a honeybee hive beautifully, fencing, everything, and then they ignore them. They don't treat them for mites or do anything about the mites. They live for about 1.5 years and then they don't understand why they die the following summer. And it's because all that time the mite load has been building up to the point where it literally kills the hive. Now I have a mite routine in which I treat for mites in March before the big spring buildup, and then I treat for mites again in August after I've taken my summer honey off, and that's in anticipation of the buildup and growth of winter bees. And then sometimes I test and find that the mite loads are still too high, and I'll have to treat again later in the fall so that they don't have to carry those mites through the winter. All those treatments can be expensive. They usually run about $5 a hive when you're buying them in the smaller quantities that you would as a backyard beekeeper. I use formic acid in August and Apivar in the early spring. And I wouldn't do that if I didn't have to do that. I know a lot of commercial beekeepers, big commercial beekeepers, who spend thousands and thousands of dollars every year treating mites. And they wouldn't do that if they didn't have to do that. And unfortunately, the internet, it's a great source of information, and it's also a great source of disinformation. And you can find innumerable people on the internet who tell you if you do what I tell you to do, you won't need to treat for mites. Or I've got a bee that's resistant to mites so that you don't need to treat for mites. People are desperate to find a way to get out of the need to spend the money and the time and the monitoring for Varroa mites. So I'll just tell you this plain flat out. If you don't treat for mites, your bees are going to be dead in 1 year or two. So you're going to have to learn to do that, depressing as it is.